Lisa's Pony versus Lisa the Greek, the battle of the father-daughter episodes. They're two very different characters trying to relate to each other in two very different ways. Which is the better episode? For today's showdown, we're taking a look at Season 3. It's a season that managed to sneak in two different episodes about Lisa and Homer's relationship. Kinda surprising they did two so close to each other, but it's a pretty natural story to do after all. The two characters are almost polar opposites. Lisa smart, Homer dumb. Lisa cares about things, Homer eats chips. Lisa likes ponies, Homer likes football. What's neat about looking at Lisa's Pony and Lisa the Greek side by side is that they are mirror reflections of each other, despite starring the same characters. Lisa's Pony is about Homer trying to bridge the gap with Lisa by getting something she loves, leading to financial ruin. Lisa the Greek is about Lisa trying to bridge the gap with Homer by sharing in something he loves, leading to financial gain. Both approaches have their pros and cons, of course, so let's get right down to it. We'll start with the slightly earlier episode, Lisa's Pony. Ahem. Lisa's Pony is an episode that should be enjoyed with a nice glass of wine and a plate of creme brulee. It is the classy Lisa and Homer episode. The episode for those who treat themselves to the finer things in life, who eschewed simple children's games for items of value and substance. It's not about a couple of people just winning a few bets and somehow bonding along the way. It's about two people who make real sacrifices for each other. It takes the attitude that the family members who truly love each other will do nice things for them. And that attitude comes straight from the top. The first reason why Lisa's Pony is the superior episode is because, simply put, Homer is more likable. This point should be fairly obvious given what an ass he is in the other episode. In Lisa's Pony, Homer is practically a saint compared to the other one. He obviously doesn't start out that way with the whole saxophone read thing, but that's where the excellent character progression comes in. They take the time to demonstrate what a crappy relationship he and Lisa has, and what Homer has done wrong. Look at the VCR scene, for example. You get a real sense that Homer legitimately feels bad about it, and tries to make up for it in his usual clumsy way. Him jumping ahead and getting her a pony is perfectly in character for him, with how idealistic and poorly thought out that plan is. And boy does he suffer for it. The guy practically drives himself insane with exhaustion, just so he can make his dear daughter happy. There are obviously less destructive ways he can achieve Lisa's love and adoration, but the point is that Homer is actually trying for once. He is the laziest character on the show. Homer actually trying this hard is a really big deal. He doesn't really do anything in the other episode. Lisa just comes to him and he's ultimately more interested in gambling, even after being told what a scumbag he is. In Lisa's Pony, Homer's sacrifices makes him infinitely more rootable. In this regard, Lisa's Pony is much more successful than the other episode. Secondly, Lisa's Pony is better because there is more meat to the story. Think about what happens in this episode compared to the other one. We've got the talent show stuff, Homer bonding with Lisa stuff, the pony stuff, and the Quickie Mart stuff. The other episode is just Homer watching football with Lisa, and then Homer watching football at the bar. There is so little story progression that they had to throw in a brief Marge and Bart shopping trip to keep things fresh. The mere presence of this subplot alone is proof enough that the story is pretty thin. The Quickie Mart stuff in particular makes Lisa's Pony really memorable. You didn't get a ton of Apu before this episode, so it's cool to get a peek behind the curtain and see what his job is like. Turns out it's a lot of convenience store jokes. Who would have thought? But sometimes just putting Homer in a new location leads to the funny, and this is certainly the case here. The subplot is justified by the main story and serves as a fun change of pace for the rest of it. And finally, let's close out this argument by talking about the jokes. Lisa's Pony is the superior episode because its jokes are more sophisticated and adult. I mean, come on, the episode opens with a 2001 parody. How much more sophisticated do you need? When I say the jokes are more sophisticated and adult, I mean that they come from a more adult point of view. You have stuff like Skinner's cynical and phony attitude during the talent show, finance jokes about usury, multiple gags about being really tired, Apu trying to deal with his crappy employee, Godfather references, the lady with the patrician facade. Heck, this episode practically invented the concept of the Elders React YouTube show. There is still a slew of goofy and whimsical jokes, of course. Stuff like the kids singing My Dingaling, the giant ice cream sundae, and the lottery ticket fight are all good examples. But just in general, Lisa's Pony takes a more mature stance with its jokes. Every joke is told from the point of view of the world-weary father and the kinds of situations he runs into. It doesn't necessarily go for the cheap cutaway or TV joke that often. It has the confidence that the situations inherent in the story are enough to bring the laughs. In my opinion, when you have an episode with Homer trying to stuff a horse into a car, you've pretty much done your job. This concludes the argument for Lisa's Pony, the more likable, substantial, and sophisticated episode of the two. Now let's dip our toes into the world of early 90s era NFL and take a look at Lisa the Greek. Football, football! Let's watch some football! Let's watch the Simpsons watch football! Let's watch the Simpsons watch beer bottles play football during a football commercial break! Football, football, football! Okay, so there's obviously a lot of football in Lisa the Greek. If you're not interested in American football or the Super Bowl, I can see how you'd be turned off by the episode. But I would contend that there's a really good Lisa and Homer story right here, one that transcends all the football overtones. The main reason why Lisa the Greek is the better episode is because it has a better Homer and Lisa connection. This part should be really important in a father and daughter relationship story, and yet in the other episode, Homer and Lisa barely hang out at all. It's just like, here's your pony, go love that thing. I'll go finance it. It's almost impersonal in a way. Homer is just daddy Warbucks. In Lisa the Greek, the two are together constantly, sitting on the couch watching the games, cheering together when they win, enjoying the spoils of victory. Through football, Lisa and Homer found a common interest. Football wouldn't seemingly be in Lisa's wheelhouse, but they do a good job framing the intellectual angle of the sport to fit in with Lisa's character. It's a little ahead of its time in some regards. You look at Moneyball with baseball, as well as the explosion of fantasy sports today, and it's easy to see how the smart kids get into it. But more importantly, it's something the two characters can bond over, and that's the most important thing. The other episode, they don't bond over a horse, they bond because Homer bought her something. In Lisa the Greek, the two of them are just adorably cute, the way they smile at each other and giggle and stuff. Homer may be a selfish man, but he genuinely likes spending time with Lisa, even if he doesn't realize it. That brings me to my next point. Lisa the Greek is better because it has a better Homer and Lisa fight. It's better at them getting along, it's better at them falling out. The other episode definitely does some good stuff with Lisa being mad at Homer, like the whole ice cream parlor scene. But it's all whisked away so quickly when the horse shows up. It's like, what saxophone reed? I've got a horse now. Lisa the Greek is a little more nuanced with this conflict by leaving Lisa's feelings up in the air. She has a legitimate reason to be angry with Homer, since he has repeatedly made it clear he is more interested in the gambling part of Daddy-Daughter Day. Even when he quote-unquote makes up with her, he still wants gambling info. Since the whole crux of their relationship was based on their shared interest, it stings a little more when Homer pivots away from her. It's interesting though how Lisa herself doesn't actually know if she still loves Homer, but still seems to be actively rooting for their relationship at the conclusion. So maybe when I say the conflict is more nuanced, I mean that even Lisa doesn't know how to feel about it. Can't be more nuanced than that, I guess. And finally, much like for the other episode, let's round things out by talking about the jokes. Lisa the Greek is the better episode because its jokes are more breezy and topical. When I say they're breezy, I mean they're a little quicker and a little punchier. A lot of TV is watched during this episode, and TV jokes tend to come out at a faster clip. Well, except for maybe this one. But in general, Lisa the Greek is able to bounce around from one thing to another more easily, leading to a slightly denser layer of jokes. Even a scene about dressing rooms manages to pile in 3 distinct jokes within 20 to 30 seconds. It's got jokes about football, jokes about betting on football, library jokes, Ralph jokes, jokes about presents. The other episode's bread and butter are more character-driven and observational. This one, the jokes are driven by the events and the situations. Although really, I would argue the Marge and Bart shopping trip is more observational than anything in the other episode. Anyone who has gone clothes shopping with their mom knows exactly what I'm talking about. The different mixes of characters lead to a stronger variety of jokes. In fact, you might say that Lisa the Greek scored a touchdown with its jokes. Okay, I'll stop. Let's just go to the verdict. This is a really fun matchup since the two episodes were produced around the exact same time in Season 3. You can't really look at one and say it's missing out on some of the later innovations of the series. I also like that they're both Homer and Lisa stories that are both so intrinsically linked to money. It's neat how they move in completely different directions, simulating what happens when Homer spends everything for Lisa and what happens when Lisa makes Homer a fortune. Do we like Homer making sacrifices for her, or do we like them being partners in crime? For Lisa's Pony, the biggest weakness for me, at least compared to the other episode, is that they don't connect the dots enough with Homer and Lisa's relationship. We get a sense that Lisa really loves the horse a lot, and we get the sense that Lisa really loves her dad for it. But it's hard to get the sense that Lisa actually loves her dad because he is her dad. I feel like the writers realized this, which is why they recycled some Season 2 material to put in another Homer and Lisa moment. But there's a slight disconnect where the horse becomes the surrogate for Lisa's love. This isn't a huge story issue for me, because the whole point of the conclusion is that Lisa decides she loves Homer more than the horse. Or at least loves Homer's well-being more than the horse. So the actual moral overcomes my general issue with that aspect of the story. It's just sitting these two episodes side by side and looking at how positively adorable they are in the other episode, Lisa's Pony comes off a little aloof and impersonal. With Lisa the Greek, I have to admit that I find the ending a little too gimmicky for my taste. Like, I really enjoy the angle that the winner of the Super Bowl will determine how Lisa feels toward her father. It works well with the football theme and the gambling stuff. But at the same time, it feels a teensy bit contrived. That Lisa just knows herself so well that she suspects she's subconsciously sabotaging Homer, but she's not sure if she's doing that. Lisa's conscious mind is obviously rooting for Homer, but she's not sure what her subconscious is doing. I guess you can't control your subconscious, but it's laid out so plainly that the whole thing ends up feeling kinda nebulous and strange. Like, you can see the writer's hand in there, manipulating the character's feelings. How can an episode about football have so many confusing feelings in it? I blame you, Roger Goodell. So with those nitpicks out of the way, it's time for the final verdict. If I had to pick only one of these two episodes, I think I would go with Lisa the Greek. I'm kinda surprised I'm voting this way, as I expected to vote for Lisa's Pony going into this review, but Lisa the Greek really wows me with its Homer and Lisa interaction. I really like the aspect that Lisa knows exactly what is going on with the gambling, and that she's not just a total sucker. I don't think the episode works if Homer is just completely playing her. Lisa is enjoying the ride she's taking, and enjoys the secret they're keeping from Marge. She just doesn't understand where Homer's priorities are. Even Homer doesn't really understand them either, honestly. By comparison, I really love how determined Homer is in Lisa's Pony to make things right, to try to repair their relationship. The Lisa the Greek Homer comes off as being too stupid to realize that he likes hanging out with her. It's annoying how much of an ass Homer is, but I can at least appreciate how much time they spend together in the episode. Plus, I find Lisa the Greek a smidge funnier than Lisa's Pony. A lot of the football references feel just as relevant today as it was back then. Of course, I am a football fan, so maybe I'm just inclined to like these jokes. Maybe I'm just basking in the warm glow of a time where my sad sack Washington team could actually win a Super Bowl. Hey, maybe my subconscious is actually calling the shots here, and I actually do like Lisa's Pony more. If Lisa the Greek can play that card, so can I, dang it. So in the end, football wins. Football, football, football. Do you think I made the right call, or should we throw the red challenge flag and take another look? Or maybe I should just stop making football puns in general. Let me know in the comments. But for now, this case is closed.